Hello there, it's time for another review. This time we're going to do a ship, the Enterprise from Academy. Let's have a look inside the box. So today I'm going to be looking at Academy's 1/700 scale USS Enterprise CV-6. This is the Modeller's Edition, and you'll see why in just a few moments. Now, the Enterprise has not been treated well, not just the original ship, which was scrapped instead of turning into a museum piece, but until recently, plastic modelling, we haven't really had that much success with the Enterprise. We've had the very old Tamiya 1/700 scale waterline version. I'll put a picture up here of the box to show you what it looks like. And up until recently, we haven't had anything really of a full scale, of a 1/350 scale or 1/200 scale, but Trumpeter and Merit, or they're now called I Love Kit or something very strange, they've stepped up with the larger scales, but in the 1/700 scale, Academy have really come across and, blown everyone out of the water actually with, that's a bad metaphor for what we're about to discuss about, but this is a great kit, and I'm really excited to review this, and I really want to get stuck into building it. 1/700 scale is normally not my thing. I have built a few ships, and one of them was 1/700, and that was a Musashi, which is quite a large, battleship. But I just recently watched, and I was very surprised because I came in with very low expectations. I watched the recent Midway movie, and it wasn't too bad. It was actually fairly accurate. The CGI was a bit, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And then I picked up this this book by Barrett Tillman about the Enterprise, and I've always had a thing for this particular ship because it literally saved the US's hide in the Pacific War back in World War II. Had this ship gone down, well, yeah, the war could have dragged on for a very long time. So anyway, enough of that little intro. I'm going to get straight into the box, have a look what's inside there, and let's go from there. All right, beautiful box art, although no aircraft on deck, which is a bit strange. One flying overhead and a Zero getting shot down in the background. Yeah, as you can see, this is the Midway fit out of the Enterprise, okay? So we've got TBDs, SBDs, and Wildcats, and we've got the overall just blue scheme. Now you already see what we might get in the box here. Let's have a closer look because there's quite a few things in here. All right, first of all, you get the bump to say, don't cut your fingers off, don't sniff the glue. Oh yeah, check the parts. What tools you need. I mean, yeah, every kid has these things these days. Now, first thing we get is some photo etch. Look at that. That's actually a big sheet of photo etch. Looks small, but in 1/350 scale, that would fill up that whole box. Very exhaustive set of decals. And what's this yellow thing? And we get not one, not two, but 3 sets of instructions. This one being probably the most important, okay? Looking at the box itself, nice, sturdy, reinforced cardboard box. Can't ask for any more. Revell, are you listening? And all those other stupid, putting it all in one bag. All the parts are in separate bags. Yes, there are a few sprues, but what Academy does is they have these very large gates here that protect everything. And you can almost see there, see that? We'll have a look closer later. They don't just number the sprues, or letter them, they actually cut them out so you can see it at a glance. That's D. All right, so we get a few duplicate sprues. That's basically guns and planes. We get some sprues for the bridge and for the lower hull bits. We get a one-piece deck, okay? And then in this bag we get the hull. Now see, that's quite a long hull. 1/700 scale is not small when you're talking capital ships. Looking at what, 30-something centimeters? Okay, that's going to be a good size. All right, let's have an even closer look. All right, here are the instructions. We've got the Academy have divided them up into 2 parts, plus a third very large sheet. I'll just start with the front page. And as you can see, replication of the box art. Just to be clear again, this is the Enterprise in June 1942, during the Battle of Midway. The Enterprise went through quite a few different fit-outs in its life, and it's changed substantially about a year and a bit later when it had a major refit where they almost doubled the amount of anti-aircraft guns, new radars, torpedo bulges, the whole lot. So yeah, you're getting an early war Spitfire, an early war Enterprise in this kit. Okay, Academy does the right thing, and with its paint callouts, it gives you all the different companies. Let's have a look at the Enterprise instructions. All right, there's two manual parts here, so let's just go through the first one. You're putting the hangar deck onto the upper hull. For some strange reason, they give you a little piece of plastic here that you've got to shove into the front of the bow, the lower hull. You've got the prop shafts, rudder. Okay, quite standard shipbuilding technique here. And then you get the option here of you can have a waterline or you can have the full hull together. So that's a great option. So you notice how you get a full hangar deck inside here. Okay, moving on, we put the bow, boat and gallery, I guess you could call it there, other side boats, and then we start to build up the hangar spaces. All very simple, nice clear instructions. More parts and ship's boats. We get the sides of the hangars. One thing I have noticed, even though they give you a full hangar deck, the hangar side doors are all molded shut, so you have to get your knife out and your sanding stick if you want to open up a few of those. Moving on, we get our first big guns. We've got the 5-inch guns there on the, I think that's the rear quarters there. And then more parts at the front. And we get the front 5-inch guns, single guns. Okay. So it goes together pretty quickly. We get a few of now the here we go. The molding styrene on 1/700 scale, and I'll be talking about the photo etch very shortly. You can probably see there the stubby little things. That's supposed to represent a 20mm Auricon, I think. And yeah, it's not the best. You might want to replace that with some photo etch or resin pieces, or just leave it as is. There's going to be quite a few of them. We get the one-piece flight deck with elevators, and unfortunately it looks like the elevators are molded shut. Yeah, we could modify them to lower them. Let's see. Side pieces, and that's it for part one, and you get a full sprue map on the back. And they give you quite a few excess parts, so this led me to a question. If there's some excess parts there, can you update it for a later war Enterprise? Maybe. Alright, part two. So we've got the building up the flight deck, and it looks like what's going to happen is we put all these pieces on and then we flip it over and install it onto the hull. I know we've got a bit more to go yet. Okay, we've got the rear there, the rear gallery, and that's here we go. So that's the hull, the deck going onto the hull there. And see, you close up the hangar, so unless you open up some of these doors, you're not going to see anything in that hangar. Okay, building up the superstructure. And it looks like I think these were the old 1.1-inch guns. Here they are, these ones, which were replaced shortly after. They were found to be ineffective. And now we're building up the bridge. Enterprise has a unique bridge. Okay, it's slightly different to the Yorktown. And it looks like it goes together quite well. They number the sequences for you so you don't stuff it up. And moving on, more parts here. We've got a very simplified radar piece here, which is just made out of styrene and a simple mast, 4.5 masts. Last page, we get into the last page. Yes, here we are. Okay, superstructure goes on, some aircraft handling cranes, and then they tell you to park the aircraft, and they give you 18, which is good, 6 of each. So that's not a bad air wing to have. Okay, and they give you a stand, all right, to place it on. And the last page, I'll just spread this out, and we get, that's all the paint callouts. Now I must admit, however, they don't give you paint callouts along the way, which is very interesting. They only give you a few for the guns and so forth, so you will have to do a little bit more extra research, and when I build this, I'll be sure to get that right. Alright, moving on to this third instruction manual. Yes, there's 3 of them, and there's the clue, photo etched parts assembly. Now, you get a very comprehensive set of photo etch because, and I'll have to explain this a bit clearer, let me just zoom out first. So Academy have included a very comprehensive photo etch, or PE as we call it, set, which is really vital for any ship, really. This is a really interesting dilemma you have when you become a ship modeler. The difference between building, say, an aircraft in 1/32 or 1/48 scale with or without photo etch is, you know, some people will tell that there's a little bit of extra detail, some people won't. Same with armor. If you're going to build a 135 scale tank, you might replace the fenders with photo etch brass pieces. You might replace some of the clasps and things, and it ups the detail. Just that nice, gives it a little extra edge. However, with a ship, you have to include the railings. Nothing looks out of place on a ship model than no railings, or indeed no rigging between the masts and so forth. So plastic molding quality can't make, unless we're talking 1/72nd, 1/144th scale type model ships. You can't do that in plastic. You have to do it using some other process, and that's photo etch brass. So when you buy a model kit, and it's a ship model kit, you really need to be looking to get at least a set of railings to complete it, because it just won't look right without the railings. Now, Academy have done a fantastic job here. I must admit, I'm really, really impressed. It's comprehensive but relatively simple, and they've simplified it by the fact that they've given you this big, it's an A3 sheet. Here's my hands, big sheet, and they give you the top, starboard, and port and starboard views of where to put them all. I mean, look at that. It's really, really well done. It even tells you where to put the bends and everything. Now on the side here for the radar, it's actually quite a complicated radar piece. You may or may not want to use it, but very simple instructions, really clear. I mean, this is really excited me about this kit, because right out of the box, you don't need to do anything with this. It's going to be a fantastic kit. And now, yes, look at the photo etch is small. Okay, look at my fingers. Some of the railings are quite small. However, take your time, and it's literally just some straight pieces. The only bends are with some of these, and I'll look at these a bit closer later. Some of the ladders, and those bends you can do with a simple set of tweezers. You don't need any special tools. You just need some good CA or super glue, and you're set. So yeah, I'm really stoked about this, and I'm really impressed. Turning the page over, and we're impressed even further because we get a marks set. That's what that big yellow sheet was. And those cutouts, if we just go down here, are for you to mask up all of the walkways, which you paint in a different color. So I assume what you do is you prime the ship, prime all the parts, paint your walkways, and then mask them, including the whole flight deck. They give you all the, see? They give you all the sheets for the flight deck, and you mask it and you spray the main colors, rip the masking off, and you've got a properly painted, really nicely well done model. So far I'm super impressed. I'm really, really stoked, and I got this 20% off, so I'm doubly happy. All right, let's curb the enthusiasm and have a look at the actual parts. Let's have a look at the individual sprues. I'll start with the flight deck. You can see it's got some very fine engraving there. I'm rubbing my finger over the grooves. And yeah, so that's a one piece. Looks pretty good. Some people might replace that with a wood deck, but with a nice wash and fairly easy to mask areas off there for some variation. All right, let's look at the other pieces. We're looking at the hull. So this is the upper hull. Very fine detail there. We've got some of the doors molded in. And is it a degaussing cable, I think it's called, along the edge there. Looking nice. And the lower hull. And here's that piece that they leave out for some reason. Must be from the mold. Bilge keels and the rear. Okay. Inside we have the hangar deck. So this is one part of it. And they mold the elevator down for some reason, the middle elevator, even though it's up. You get some nice features there on the floor. But as you see later on, there's actually no detail on the inside, so you have to make that yourself. And that's the forward portion. They just match up there. Got anchors there that are molded in. You might want to remove those and put some other chains on. But looking alright so far. Let's start with the B sprue. We've got the under flight deck parts there. It's a little bit rudimentary, you know, the bit too thick, some of these braces and so forth, but it does the job. I can't see any ejection pin marks, so it looks to be no problem with filling and so forth. We've got some island pieces here, which I've checked against. I've been told that the Tamiya ones, the old Tamiya Enterprise kit, it's too narrow. That's a good size. And then some of the other parts. We've got the walkways or galleries. I can't remember what they're called there for the small 20mm mounts. I'll just flip this over. And there are a couple of ejection pin points there that you can see here. Okay. But should be easy enough to put some putty in there and just get rid of them. Alright, not too bad, and same here underneath. There's just a few there. Okay, so that's B. Let's move on to C. C is the propellers and that little part that you've got to put in for the lower hull and the other bits. Multicolored plastic. So you could spray that with just assemble it and just spray it with a matte coat and then start weathering if you want. The propellers look a little bit chunky. They're a little bit big, but as plastic goes, 1/700 scale goes, not too bad. Next we get the D sprue. So you want the D. There's 4 of these, which means you get 8 elevators, which is 6 too many. You get all the different aircraft. They've been protected at the end there. Okay, the propellers are molded on solid. There's no panel lines on the aircraft, so you may want to score some on, just some major panels. 20mm guns there, very small. I'll zoom in a bit. So the 20mm guns there, pretty small pieces, and you get quite a few spares, so if you knock a few off, that's okay. 1.1 inch, 4 barrel ones there, ships, boats, more 20mm, and there's the 5-inch guns. Okay, the parts are okay. They're like the elevators, you get some really nice fine detail there, but it's more of a limitation of 1/700 scale than anything else. So that's D sprue. Let's move on to E. E sprue is basically the stand. Okay, it's just a black plastic, nice and shiny, with 2 sort of rudimentary sort of stands. I would probably paint these 2 gold, leave this in a gloss black. If I just turn this around, it's got the base plate there for putting a decal on for the sign, for the ship's name and so forth. Nice little stand, should work well. The grey E parts, we get a variety of the hangar sidewalls and so forth for the island there. Okay, really nicely moulded, very crisp. I can't see any problems on it. These holes haven't been drilled through on the cranes. You can either use a black wash to fill them in or drill them all the way out. And yeah, the directors and these funnels aren't quite correct. Probably could drill them out and have photo etch or some very small brass wire to cover those up if you want, or just leave as is and again use a wash. The hangar sidewalls look pretty good, but if we flip this over, you'll see that if you cut open any of these, you'll be left with all these locating pins and ejector pin marks, so these will have to be filled and then covered over with some additional detail. So yeah, keeping that hangar bay open might not be an option. I'd maybe open up 1 or 2 of these, add a few parked aircraft in there and call it a day. Let's move on to the next and final sprue, which is F. And again, we've got more galleries and walkways and so forth. And the parts look, this is the island. I'll just see if I can get that to zoom in. So we've got one of the main island pieces here. We've got a bit of raised detail, which is good, very crisp. Some nicely done portholes and side bits. Some of the ship's boats look pretty good, and some of the boats have separate upper bits and lower hulls, so that makes painting a lot easier. We've got some of the mounts for the larger guns. And again, some more hangar deck parts there, and one large one here. You can actually see where a lot of the detail from some of the Star Destroyers these in Star Wars came off some of these parts. Alright, so it's looking really nice. Let's move on to the decals and photo etch. Here are the decals. We've got a Korean nameplate there alongside a English language version. These are the runway markings for the deck, which I would cut up. I've seen a few people try to, it's like walkways on large aircraft, you really want to just cut these up or even mask them yourself. And for around the elevators, it says it's printed in Korea, but recent Academy decals are actually quite good. So these don't look too bad. You've got the different size stars for the aircraft, but no other aircraft identification numbers or anything else. And these stars and this colour call out effectively limits us only to Midway, I believe, because they got rid of the red in the previous campaigns. But you know, that's good enough. That'll do. Here's the photo etch. All right, it's quite fine, as you can see, but you know, a very good detail. Here are those ladders, which just require bending the steps and then just bending the sides in. You can do that with a flat pair of tweezers. I think it's a CX-AM radar. They only had a single radar at this time, Enterprise. It's got a few parts. You've got these braces here you've got to do, and then these onto the main plate. So, you know, with photo etch, you don't have to use all the parts. You want to use some bits, you can. If you want to keep the styrene, you can as well. But this really ups the detail and just adds that extra level. Just take your time, and usually with photo etch, you want to put this on before you've primed the model. Okay, so you can just paint it all in the same color. So having had a look at the kit, all its contents, what you get, and just doing a basic dry fit, because you know, doing a full build review of a ship would take as long as building the damn thing. So all I can say from what I can see in the box and what we get is it's a really fine kit. I'll just go over a few of the problems I sort of encountered along the way, and I'm sure that other people will find more. There are a couple of accuracy problems with this. For example, it's not an exact Battle of Midway example. It's actually from the battles just before Midway, and there's a few things that are out of place. For example, I believe one of the ship's boats at the rear was replaced with extra life rafts, and another boat on the port side wasn't there during Midway. It was there the month before, wasn't there during Midway. That's about the only really finicky sort of accuracy problems you're going to encounter, really. Now, the 1/700 scale, you have to give up some of the details for the scale itself. So a lot of the guns are a little bit out of scale. You can replace the 20mm Orlikons with some, particularly the shields that they're on, because that's just a very small splinter shield. You can replace them with some PE units, running for about $8, $9. You know, not very expensive. The 5-inch guns look okay. The 1.1-inch guns, they're okay as well. So, you know, you sort of have to think, well, how far down the rabbit hole are you going to go with that? The thing that Academy have left out, and you can see that on the front of the box here, there's no rigging diagram for the island, between the masts and so forth. So you have to use basically that and any other sort of references you've got, like pictures in books and so forth, to work out how to do the final rigging. A couple other faults I can find with the kit, not that many. Along the way in the instructions, there's really no call-outs for what to paint some of the finer details, like the ship's boats and some of the other areas. Again, you have to use references to really get that exact point. And then of course the other thing to do is, hey, thanks Academy, you've given us a full hangar deck. Well, we can't see it. So it's kind of like Trumpeter with some of their aircraft kits. They give you all this detail for the inside of the aircraft. You can't see it once you button it up. Now there are some sort of solutions to that, because they give you the fore and aft elevators separately, and they give you lots of spare ones too. You can go about and try to scratch build them lowered, or half lowered, or raising with an aircraft on it. You can also open up some of the side hangar deck doors here quite easily. They're not very big. Sharp hobby knife and a bit of a sanding stick, and bang, you've got an open hangar deck. The problem therein, of course, as I showed with the Sprue Tour, is you're going to have to replace a lot of there's ejection pin marks, there's location pin holes on the back side of all these hangar deck sides. So you're going to have to fill them in, you're going to have to add some details. If you've ever seen pictures, and I can't put them up here on the channel, but if you just Google Enterprise hangar, you'll see that it's festooned with detail. And in fact, the Merit 1350 kit does this detail really well. So if you want to go for a little bit further and you want to build some stuff inside the hangar deck, actually just check out the 1350 scale Merit, or I Love kit. What a strange marketing name. Look at their instruction sheets, because they show you where all the parts are on the inside. Okay, but overall, hey, look, we get a really nice modern tooled, fairly comprehensive photo etch instructions mast set for an iconic ship of World War II. Highly recommend this kit. I can't wait to start it. I've got too many things on the go, and in fact I've got another ship that I need to finish first. And yeah, Go ahead and get one. They're a bargain. This costs about $60 to $65 Australian, $35 to $40 American, and about the same whatever it is in Europe and outside Europe, like in the UK. Haha. Cheap kit in my opinion. The amount of hours you're going to spend on this, it's cheap. It's a cheap hobby. So anyway, that's enough from me. Go ahead and get one and leave your comments below. You know what to do. Leave a like, subscribe. Cheers. Have a good day.